Let's get right into it. Number 12. The feeling of being watched. Have you ever walked alone at night, maybe down a quiet street, and felt the distinct prickle on the back of your neck? That icy, unshakable feeling that someone, somewhere, is watching you. It's a classic horror movie cliché, right? Except it's a feeling we've all had, and it's a perfect example of your brain running a low-key, terrifying simulation. The feeling of being watched is basically your brain's best guess at what's happening in your blind spot. Your visual cortex is only processing about 1/10 of the information hitting your eyes at any given moment. The rest is filled in by your brain using a crazy mix of memory, expectation, and, most importantly, fear. When you're in a vulnerable situation, like being alone in the dark, your brain shifts into a hyper-alert mode called threat detection. It starts looking for patterns that signal danger. A rustle in the leaves? A sudden shadow? Your brain latches onto it and fills in the blanks with the worst-case scenario. It's not a ghost. It's just your brain going, I don't have enough data, so I'm going to assume there's a lurking monster and tell your skin to freak out. That little shiver down your spine, that's your brain's equivalent of an old-school antivirus scan, and it just detected a false positive. Number 11. Phantom vibrations. You're sitting there, maybe at work or in a waiting room, and you feel that telltale buzz in your pocket. You check your phone, but the screen is dark. No call, no text, nothing. You put it back, and 2 minutes later, it happens again. The phantom vibration. This is a phenomenon so common it's got its own medical name, phantom vibration syndrome. It's a perfect example of your brain getting lazy and making things up. Think about how many times a day you feel your phone vibrate. Your brain and nervous system have basically been conditioned like Pavlov's dogs. The phone buzz becomes a reward signal, a little hit of dopamine. So, what happens when you're bored or expecting a message? Your brain starts to hallucinate. It literally creates a false sensation to get that tiny dopamine rush. Your nervous system is so primed to detect that specific sensory input that a slight muscle twitch, the friction of your clothes, or even a sudden thought can be misinterpreted as a buzzing phone. Basically, your brain is so desperately seeking stimulation that it's inventing a message just to give you something to do. Number 10. Your brain's internal GPS. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly forgotten why you're there? You retrace your steps back to where you started, and suddenly the reason pops back into your head. It's a moment of bizarre everyday amnesia. This isn't just you being forgetful, it's a real psychological phenomenon called the doorway effect. Your brain uses doorways as a kind of mental reset button, a way to declutter your short-term memory. Our brains are constantly creating and updating mental models of our environment. When you walk through a doorway, your brain registers it as a new environment, a separate context. It's like your mental software has a built-in autosave feature that closes out the last session. The information, the reason you went into the kitchen, is associated with the old room. When you cross the threshold, your brain basically dumps the mental file to make space for the new environment, and a lot of that short-term stuff gets lost in the process. It's an evolutionary trick designed to save mental energy. Your brain thinks, why remember where you put the car keys in the garage when you're now in the living room trying to find the remote? So, you're not going crazy. You're just experiencing a biological bug from a system that thinks you're still a caveman, trying to remember where you left the berries. Number 9. The power of placebo. Imagine you're given a sugar pill, told it's a powerful new painkiller, and your headache vanishes. That's the placebo effect, and it's a mind-bending glimpse into your brain's hidden healing power. It's not just in your head, it's a real, measurable biological response. Studies have shown that when people are given a placebo they believe is a powerful drug, their brains release real, natural painkillers called endorphins. The brain is literally tricking the body into healing itself. This effect isn't just about pain either. The color of a pill can influence its effect. Blue pills are perceived as sedatives, while red ones are seen as stimulants. Giving someone a shot of saline solution and telling them it's a stimulant can increase their heart rate and blood pressure. The placebo effect reveals a strange truth. Your beliefs can directly alter your physical reality. Your brain doesn't just process information, It actively shapes your experiences based on what you expect to happen. You think you're getting better, so your brain says, "Okay, let's make that happen," and starts firing off chemicals to prove it. Number 8. Why we get chills from music. You're listening to a song, maybe a dramatic crescendo in an epic movie score, and a shiver runs down your arms and the back of your neck. This is a phenomenon known as frisson, or as we call it in the real world, musical chills. It's a bizarre, physiological reaction to sound that feels a lot like an emotional response. But what's really happening? It's not just a feeling, it's a full-body reflex that's a strange evolutionary throwback. Scientists believe that frisson is a relic of our ancestors. Back in the day, when a predator was near, the hairs on our bodies would stand on end, a reflex called piloerection. It made us look bigger and more intimidating to scare off threats. Fast forward a few millennia, and we have music, a completely harmless, non-life-threatening sound. Yet when a song hits a dramatic peak, our brains confuse the emotional arousal with a physical threat. The anticipation, the sudden shift in volume or harmony, it all triggers the same ancient threat response system. Your nervous system is basically hearing the music and going, "Whoa, that's intense. Time to prepare for a fight." It's your body's way of saying, "I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm going to stand my hairs up just in case." Number 7. The creepy feeling of déjà vu. That feeling you get when you're in a new place or a new situation, and you're overcome with a powerful, unsettling sense that you've been there before. It's a glitch in the matrix, a brief rewind of reality. But the biology behind déjà vu is a lot more mundane and a lot less paranormal. It's a trick of memory retrieval, a momentary hiccup in your brain's filing system. Your brain processes and stores memories in a complex network, but sometimes a new experience triggers a cascade of familiar associations from an old, fragmented memory. The feeling isn't that you've been there before. It's that your brain has already built a mental blueprint that's eerily similar to what you're currently experiencing. It's like searching for a file on your computer and pulling up a corrupted or incomplete version of it. The sensation is so strong because your brain is trying to reconcile two conflicting signals. Your conscious mind knows you've never been here, but your memory retrieval system is screaming, "I know this place." It's a spooky feeling, but all it really means is that your brain's internal search engine is a little slow. It's a creepy sensation born from a perfectly normal data processing error. Number 6. The unsettling truth about phantom limb syndrome. Imagine losing a hand, but months or years later, you can still feel it. You feel an itch on your missing finger or a twinge in a wrist that's no longer there. This is phantom limb syndrome, and it's a mind-bending look at how your brain builds its own reality, completely independent of your body. It's an unsettling proof that your brain is still wired for a limb that no longer exists. The cause of this isn't just a ghost of a limb. It's a biological phenomenon rooted in your brain's somatosensory cortex, the part of your brain that creates a complete map of your body. When you lose a limb, the corresponding section of this map doesn't just disappear. The brain gets confused. Nearby areas of the somatosensory cortex, say the part that maps your face or torso, start to invade the unused space. When something touches your cheek, your brain misinterprets the signal. It's like a phone line that's been redirected to a wrong number. Your brain says something is touching me, but because the hand's a blank space, it routes the feeling to the last known address, which is the phantom limb. It's a creepy, tangible example of your brain living in its own world. A world where missing body parts can still feel things. Number 5. The bizarre biology of contagious yawning. You're in a meeting, someone yawns, and suddenly you feel the uncontrollable urge to do the same. It's a universal, bizarre behavior, and it's a lot more than just a sign of being tired. It's a primal, social reflex that links back to our deepest empathetic wiring. It's so powerful that even reading the word yawn can make you want to do it. See? Now you're thinking about it. The contagious nature of yawning is a sign of what psychologists call mirror neurons. These are brain cells that fire when you perform an action, and also when you watch someone else perform that same action. It's the neurological basis for empathy. When you see someone yawn, your mirror neurons light up and make you feel what they're feeling. In this case, an intense need to yawn. But there's a creepy twist. Scientists have found that the ability to catch a yawn diminishes with certain psychological conditions like psychopathy and autism, suggesting that contagious yawning is directly linked to how deeply we can empathize with others. It's a strange biological test for whether you can literally feel what someone else is feeling. Number 4. The unsettling truth of sleep paralysis. You wake up, but you can't move. You feel a heavy weight on your chest. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. You look into the corner of the room, and you see a figure standing there, watching you. This isn't a dream. It's a terrifying biological reality known as sleep paralysis. It's a creepy phenomenon that occurs when your mind wakes up before your body does. Here's the deal. When you fall asleep, your brain paralyzes your body to prevent you from physically acting out your dreams. This is a normal, healthy part of the sleep cycle. But sometimes there's a glitch. Your conscious mind snaps awake, but the paralysis system is still running. You're trapped in a disembodied consciousness, fully aware but unable to move a single muscle. The hallucinations that often accompany sleep paralysis, the figures in the room, the feeling of a presence, are a result of your brain trying to make sense of the situation. Your mind is in a borderline state between dream and reality, and it's pulling nightmare fuel straight from your subconscious to explain the terror you're experiencing. It's your brain's cruelest prank, locking you in a waking nightmare and then populating it with your darkest fears. Number 3. The bizarre biology of ASMR. The sound of whispering, the gentle tapping of fingers, the crunch of a leaf, these seemingly mundane sounds can trigger a tingling sensation that starts at the scalp and flows down the spine. This is ASMR, or autonomous sensory meridian response. It's a physical reaction to sound, a kind of auditory sixth sense. It feels like a mix of pleasant shivers and deep relaxation, and for some people it's a profound experience. ASMR is a strange biological anomaly. It's not a common phenomenon, but for those who experience it, the feelings are real and measurable. Brain scans of people during ASMR episodes show increased activity in the reward centers of the brain, similar to the pleasure we get from a good meal or a satisfying accomplishment. It's not just a physical sensation, it's a deeply emotional one. The specific triggers for ASMR are often personal, but they're always quiet, intentional, and soothing sounds or visuals. It's as if certain sounds are directly tapping into a hidden, pleasure-inducing circuit in your brain, bypassing your normal senses and creating a physical experience that feels entirely supernatural. Number 2. The unsettling truth of face blindness. Imagine looking at your own reflection and not recognizing yourself, or seeing your parents and not knowing who they are. This isn't a memory problem. It's a terrifying condition called prosopagnosia, or face blindness. For people with this condition, faces are just a jumble of features. They can see a nose, a mouth, and a pair of eyes, but their brain can't put them together to form a recognizable whole. It's an unsettling glimpse into a world where the most fundamental human connection, recognition, is completely broken. Your brain has a specialized area in the temporal lobe called the fusiform gyrus, which is solely dedicated to recognizing and processing faces. In people with prosopagnosia, this part of the brain is either damaged or underdeveloped. Their brains can't perform the incredibly complex task of piecing together facial features, so they have to rely on other, less reliable cues, like a person's voice, their gait, or their unique hairstyle, to figure out who they're talking to. Imagine your brain's facial recognition software just permanently failing. It's an eerie reminder of how a single, seemingly minor glitch in our biology can completely reshape our social reality and turn the world into a landscape of strangers. Number 1. The creepy biology of near-death experiences. The light at the end of the tunnel, the feeling of floating above your body, the sensation of profound peace. Near-death experiences, NDEs, are a common, mind-bending phenomenon reported by people who have been on the brink of death. While they've been interpreted as spiritual or supernatural events, the creepy truth is that most of them can be explained by a final, desperate act of your brain as it shuts down. When your brain is deprived of oxygen due to a heart attack, an injury, or an illness, it goes into a kind of survival mode. First, the lack of blood flow causes your vision to tunnel, creating the famous light at the end of the tunnel effect. It's not a spiritual pathway, it's just your visual cortex dying off from the edges inward. The floating sensation and out-of-body experiences? That's a result of your brain trying to create a coherent narrative as it receives confusing signals. When your consciousness is barely clinging on, your brain is doing everything it can to make sense of the chaos, even if that means creating a dreamlike, peaceful scenario to soften the blow of its own demise. These experiences aren't a glimpse into the afterlife. They're the final, beautiful, and terrifying story your brain tells itself as it's about to go dark. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.